Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends, quarantine friends around the world. I hope everybody's doing well. It is now day 21 for me. So as you can see, my roots are incredibly long. My lashes have completely disappeared, and it's pretty much everything gone hell into a handbasket. So sorry. Yes. Sarah, good morning. I think you're here. Yeah, there you are. Simon. Oh, these might be comments that are from earlier, so no worries. Oh, there's 10 of you on already, so that's awesome. First off, there's a few things that we need to cover because today's going to be a little bit different from the other days, and I'm not entirely sure if this experiment is going to work. But here's the deal. And feel free to give me a shout if you're on the broadcast and you want to say hi. I'd love to know who's around because unless you comment, I don't know you're here. So I have been reminded by the powers that be. Good morning, Stain. Good to see you. Sunny Antwerp. God, I'm so jealous. Morning, Simon. Good to see you. No problem. For those of you who are in sunny places right now, please find a way to get me there. I know I can't come, but it is minus 12 outside and snowing because it's fifth winter in Calgary. Great news. So, as I was saying, the powers that be have reminded me that for me to be showing the broadcast in the background as I'm talking is not their favorite thing for me to be doing. So, we need to revise the plan. I am going to ask you to load the game in another browser window and then have the Facebook available here. We're going to watch the game together, synchronized-ish, I hope. And we will hopefully be able to watch together. And when we get to certain moments, I have prepared clips. So when we get to a good point, I'll say, okay, everybody stop. Collaborate and listen, and then you're going to pause your video. I will then flip over in here and be able to show the clip, and we'll be able to have a more in-depth discussion about it. And then we'll go back to you having to stare at my face and the game going on in your other browser window. So it is super, super important. Elsie, great to see you. Wet South Africa. Yeah, that sounds fair. Hi, Robert. Great to see you as well. So it's really, obviously, very crucial. Hey, Zeds, good to see you. Ian, good morning. Make sure you've got the game going. Otherwise, this is going to be really, really weird. Like, you do not want to spend the next hour just sitting there and watching my face talk about the game and get distracted by comments coming up on my Facebook feed. So it is in the, obviously, in the description, but I'm going to remind you again that this is where you go to find it. And what you're going to need to do right now, do not pass go, is to scroll the tape to 1:37 left on the video time remaining so that we get to the beginning of the first quarter, because we're not going to sit there and watch warm-ups and anthems. I'm sorry, I watched so many warm-ups and anthems in my life. We're not doing it again. Plus, there's not a lot to talk about from an umpiring perspective. So make sure you've got the game loaded up and scrolled. So I'm going to take a little bit more time to chit-chatter, and I'm sorry for that. I know it's a little boring for all of you who are going to be ready, but I want to make sure that everybody who's around is going to get their opportunity to get ready, because it's going to be rough. I'm not going to lie. Again, total experiment. I've got my fingers crossed. I've got some ideas for different ways I can do it for other broadcasts, but because this reminder came from the FIH a little late, I'd already scheduled this Facebook Live. I thought, okay, I'll just try it and follow through. And if it totally bombs and crashes, I'm okay. I'll be fine. And we will try again with a different format, because I think you can get a lot of value out of this this kind of interaction. Watching a game in full, I think it's really important, because when I take clips and I'm showing them and I'm posting them on social media or watching them in other formats, you get a very limited view of the game. So you might see something and say, yeah, that's a card, that's a green card, that's a yellow card. But unless you have the entire context of what's happened before, what's happened after, you know, where are we in the game, what warnings have been given, what other cards have been given, what's the temper, all those sort of things, you really don't have that full context on which you can base that kind of decision. And what I'm trying to do here is to help you guys all develop your own decision-making abilities, whether you're imagining yourself there on the pitch, or this is about you providing umpire coaching for someone else and being able to give that the most constructive and the most helpful feedback you can to an umpire that you're working with. So yes, I will absolutely repeat the time. I'll just say hi to a few other people. Elsaby, thank you. Yeah, well, your instructions were very clear. I like the Shakespeare thing. I'm a massive Shakespeare person, so that totally works for me. Good morning, Peter. Great to see you. I'm very excited that you're joining in. Always great to have friends from that continent as well. Mark, good to see you again. So stay in the time again. It is 1 hour 37 minutes left on the ticker. So if you're scrolling it through, that's where you need to drop it. You're going to see Sandra Ward on the screen. She's going to, you know, be smiling. She's getting ready to start. So just as a reminder, this is Netherlands and Belgium women. Make sure you open up the game. Thanks. Yeah, that is perfect. 137 is exactly where you need to be. Thanks, guys. Keep doing that, okay? Keep mentioning what time it is, because I'm going to be doing my best to talk about vital things, but I know that people might fall out of sync, and it's going to be really important for us to try to keep there as much as possible. And if it means that I have to, you know, stop a little bit, like say at the end of a quarter, and, you know, we all scroll through and it takes a couple seconds for all us to get on the right page, so be it. We're all friends here, you know, it's great. Good morning, Simon. Good to see you. Simon, make sure that you open up the game in your, in another, whoops, ignore that one. In another window of your, why does it keep putting the M in behind it? Oh, there we go. In another browser window, because Simon, I'm not going to be able to play the full game in this. Can't do that anymore. Morning, Teresa. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Okay, so where are we at here? We got about 31. Robert, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever it is where you are. Shelley from Australia, thanks for joining in. It's really late for you, so I hope that you have, you know, maybe a glass of wine in your hand. As I did on the last broadcast, I am sticking to tea this morning. I have to admit, I'm not feeling my best today. Wasn't feeling great yesterday, not feeling my best today, but I'm going to pull it out. I'm ready. I'm here for you guys. It's going to be fine. Between my hair and, you know, not feeling great, you know, but we're going to make do, and we're going to make it good. So hopefully you're all scrolled up. I'm going to give it just another couple minutes. So 137 on the left-hand ticker. Is there anybody who's having problems right now getting their match scrolled up and ready to go? Okay, so just as a reminder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to pause your broadcast when I have clipped something in particular. I'm going to be able to show those clips. I can still do that. Be able to show the clip in the big TV screen. And then we will go back to the broadcast and we will repause it. By the way, the space bar is a really good way, just a shortcut to pause and to restart a video that you're watching in your browser window. Hot tip. Javier, wonderful to see you. Okay, and I pronounced it the Spanish way, which is probably not the way that you say it. Maybe it's Chevy, maybe it's... I don't even know what the alternatives would be, but I'm sure you will let me know at some point or I'll look it up and make sure that I get it right. So good to see you guys. Okay, is there anybody who can't get their game queued up to where they need to be? Tell me you're panicking, okay? I don't think I can help, but I can at least share your pain and wait for a couple seconds. So let me know. Okay, I'm not getting anything, so I think we're ready to go. It's going to be very odd. There's going to be lots of blank spaces and the audio coming from me, so I hope you can listen to the two at the same time. It should all work. Fingers crossed. Okay, feel free to let me know as things are going if things are not doing well. Mr. Thirsk, good to see you. I hope you got your game all queued up. And if you've missed it, well, you want to make sure you go there. And okay, Peter, I'm going to hang on for you as well. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that Mr. Thirsk is all set to go as well. Thirsky and I are old friends, so I got to look after him. Mark, thank you for letting me know that you're ready. I appreciate that. I'm just going to keep drinking my tea. Savji. Savji. You stumped me. I'm going to have to look at that later. I can speak a little French, just a little bit, but that's thrown me. Okay. Elsa B, great, you're ready, thank you. Simon, you're ready as well. Robert's ready. Just waiting for our friend Peter. Oh, great, Peter, you're good to go, thank you. Okay. Simon's ready in sunny Surrey. Okay. Are we ready? I feel like I'm doing the weirdest remote conducting ever. These are crazy times in quarantine land, isn't it? Okay. So, on a count of 3, 2, 1, let's start. Oof. And my match audio was very loud, so I just had to turn that down. Unsurprising. There we go. Zed, good. I hope you're ready to go. So, as happens in many of the stadiums, the center pass ends up being a bit of a debacle because there's a countdown going, but that's not necessarily what the tech table is ready for. And so unless they get the signal that the production gives to the tech table to say, yes, umpires, you're ready to go, the umpires will not be blowing the whistle to start the game. So that's why they end up having to pull back the center pass on such a regular basis, which is really unfortunate. But okay, I'm just going to turn that down a little bit more. Okay, so first of all, Netherlands, Belgium. We are in the business end again of the 2019 Pro League season, and this may surprise you a little bit, but Belgium is right in the mix for a spot in the Final Four. The FIH Pro League finals that took place in Amstelveen in June, so later in June. So this was a very important game for both the teams. I mean, I think we knew the Dutch were going to get in, but they really still hadn't quite solidified things yet. For umpires, we've got Ivana Makar over on the far side. She is Croatian, if you haven't had the pleasure of meeting her before. And Michi Meister from Germany is on our near side, on the right-hand side of your screen. Oh, I almost put that in the wrong window. That would have been deadly. So Simon, very good comment. I'm going to have to put that below my face. Let's just do that. Okay. So yes, you're absolutely right. Players often opt to take a free hit where it is, even if that means it's a couple of meters away, which isn't necessarily a big deal in of itself, but they'll take it a couple meters into the 23 and disadvantage themselves. So as an umpire, you got to ask yourself the question, is there any disadvantage to the opposing team, to the defending team, that is created by them taking that ball inside? For example, do they cut somebody out who should have been in position for that ball? If not, my general favorite approach is to let the attacking team, as you said, Simon, disadvantage themselves by taking it inside, and they have to adhere by the 23-meter restriction rule if they do so. So they don't get it both ways. When they do that, they can't send it straight into the circle. Everybody's got to be 5, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so really good to notice that. Oops, I literally just grabbed my mic. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, coming up, I want you to be ready for this. In a few seconds, there's going to be a reverse stick attempt on goal. So get ready to watch for that, because I love your comments on what happens with it. Okay, so that was Yip Janssen on that reverse shot, if you saw it. And if you watch the replay, you'll see a full-fledged swing, but the ball ends up looping slowly, really high over the goal. And what I want you to notice about that is that maybe the rest of the action didn't tip you off to any problem, but we definitely need to watch those trajectories. So the 15-meter free hit is fine in that case. But alternately, you could actually call that reverse hit. And at this stage of the game, it's not a bad idea. It's not that you're telling everybody, hey, I know what the rules are, but you're showing the players that you're sharp and you're on it. And at an early stage, I don't mind that kind of statement. So there you go. Yeah, Teresa, we're actually at 10, coming down right down to 10 minutes right now on the match clock. So I hope that helps. I know it's going to be a struggle. How's everybody doing so far? I hope I'm talking about things that you're actually seeing on your screen. Yes. Yes, Simon, absolutely. It was a back stick. Now, hopefully this isn't going to be a spoiler for you guys. Spoiler alert, this is a very one-way traffic game, especially in the first half. So everything is flowing into the Belgian defense and towards Michy. And we're going to talk about why that becomes important a little bit later. Just past the 9-minute mark now. The 9 minutes to go mark. If you get an opportunity to watch Michy's positioning, I'd be really interested to see what you notice about what she does on the pitch. It's subtle and it might be difficult to pick up, but okay, we've just passed 8 minutes to go, and at about 7:20, we're going to see some ball placement stuff. So get queued up for that. And other ones are going to work the ball out here eventually. Mark, she's over on the far side. Ivana, or sorry, Mishi is on the near side. Okay, great run. Actually, there's absolutely nothing with ball placement there. It was perfect. The ball actually bounced back. It bounced forward and then bounced back from where it was, so it was great. Anyway, what I liked is that the play just continued, because you hate to see a player who's worked so hard to get towards the circle, carry the ball for, 40 meters, and then they get the foot just outside the circle, which is the worst call we can make, so. Okay, you can hear Mishi on the mic. She is talking to the players about the pushing in the circle. This is actually a very physical matchup, and there's a lot of communication from the umpires to the players to remind them to, get their hands off each other, basically. So Simon, yes, I was talking more about attacking free hits in that situation, but yes, defenders, if you've earned the free hit for the defense inside the circle, you can take it anywhere inside the circle. That's absolutely true, and I love that kind of thing. Good morning, Sharon. Bright and early for you. Okay, we're just under 6 minutes to go now, if that helps you. Also, from the last game that we talked about, I can't remember who it was, had a request to talk about whistle time or whistle tone and variations. So if any of you notice anything that you really like about whistle tone in this game, feel free to stick up your hand and let me know. Okay, just past 5 minutes back. And you're right, Thursky, we've gone back and forth on that rule. And I think finally the FAH has realized that the most important thing is just to keep things simple, and synchronizing that with the indoor rule, which it's been that way for quite a while now in indoor, is the better approach for the rule books. Okay, so there's been lots and lots of pressure still flowing towards Belgium. Okay, you should all be at the point now where Ivana has just given a card. So here it is, guys. Pause. Okay? As I say that, I can't even pause in my own video. This is great. So I hope everybody's paused now. You're going to have just under 4 minutes left on the game clock, and I am going to replay that card so we can have a little bit of a discussion about it. Okay, let's do this.
Best yesterday was as Anand said, a case of scoring against the runner play.
So what you might notice there is that the timing seemed a little weird. Absolutely, it was a breakdown, as you'll see when they show the replay again, that the defender's Versavel stick hooked up with Velton's, but what also happened is that the attack still had excellent possession of the ball, and they had excellent opportunity. So that is, for me, a missed opportunity to play some advantage on that card. But what's important to think about is, if you were in that situation as umpire, if you are the umpire coach there, And I'll just go back and show it again while I'm talking, because that's more interesting than just listening to my voice. So from a coaching point, what could be a possible reason for that mistiming of that? And I would posit that Ivana's had very, very little action so far. And it's really tough to keep your focus when you haven't had to blow your whistle very often. She's probably had to blow it like 4 or 5 times at the most so far. So focus isn't just about watching the game. It's about what mental processes you're going through behind the scenes, behind your forehead. And you're reading, and it's hard. It's really tough work. It's so consuming to be trying to predict, where is the ball going to go? Where is the next tackle going to come from? Where's the next foul? And not have to be the one doing anything about it necessarily. But if you make that your mental habit as you are umpiring, first of all, when you are in control of the play, it's going to be good for you. But when you're supporting, it'll keep you sharp, so that instead of reacting to what you've seen and not necessarily realizing that an advantage could have accrued, you're going to get that timing right. You're going to hold for the advantage. You're going to have your arm up. What you might do is you might say to the players, I'm coming back. And then at the next natural break, you can stop the play. Any questions about that? We are going to get back to the game. Is everybody ready on their FIH Live browser window? We're going to restart in 2, 3, 1, go. Man, I hope this is working. Yeah, I agree, Teresa. It would have been nice to see if something interesting could have developed out of that situation. So, and you can see the reactions of the players. They're kind of like, huh? They were expecting the advantage to come. And if you had come back to the card, they would have been like, yeah, cool. Yeah, that was a pretty savage tackle. But hi, Sharon. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you letting me know that you're able to keep up so far. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay, we're just coming up to 2 minutes left. We're going to see a replay, and a green card is going to be awarded while we're watching the replay. Directors never seem to understand what the important things are. So as you can see, an advantage was being played. And Mishi is coming back to the first incident, giving the card, but the original result stands, which was a long corner, she says. But the important part about that is Belgium's now sitting on 2 green cards for breakdowns, I assume. Okay, we're coming up to 1 minute left in the first quarter. And there's a collision at the top of the circle. It's a little weird, and I think you can make an argument that could have gone the other way with the Dutch player having a more stationary position and the Belgian reaching for the ball. She wasn't actually there. So pelting with shots. So Robert's commenting that he doesn't think there's a lot of communication between the umpires, and right now there actually isn't. But that changes in the game, so it's good that you noticed that. I think that at the quarter break, like I was saying in episode 2, that the quarter breaks are actually really great for the umpires to be able to take a quick second to reset, adjust their game plan together in the privacy of not being on the audio during the game, hopefully, and off they go. And they're able to address things that they weren't happy about in the first quarter. Okay, so I'm now at the end of the first quarter, and we've got a 2-minute break. I really shouldn't try to do this, but scroll ahead. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I am there now, and it says 1 hour 19 minutes on the ticker. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to make sure everybody's there, and then we're going to go again. Okay, hopefully everybody's caught up. We are now going to start quarter 2. I really feel like a teacher now. Everybody open your books to page 24. Byron, good to see you. I hope you are all set up. So you got to make sure you got the game going in another browser, and we're about to start quarter 2. Okay, so if everybody's ready, we're going to get going in 3, 2, 1, go. Thanks, Stan. Appreciate it. Thanks, Graham. Although I'm not sure which is more awkward at this point in my life. Is Miss more awkward than ma'am? I don't know. I hate both of them. Just call me friend. So if there's anything else you've noticed so far, any other comments or questions, feel free to spit them out. Put me in the hot seat. So I don't know, Rob, if you heard that, but there was more where Ivana was saying, yeah, nothing there. And then when that ball did strike the foot, it was just one word from Ivana, and I think Mishy saw it anyway, but just that confirmation was helpful. It was on the opposite side of the circle, so that's a really good place to be always thinking about, does my controlling umpire need my help there? I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to say, nope, there's no foul, there's no foul, there's no foul. There it is, penalty corner, foot. So yep, I'm at 13:38 left to go in the second quarter because we are paused time on penalty corner. So I didn't understand exactly what Versavel said in French there, but it's really cute that Mishy is speaking in English to the player. She's as we're mandated to at international levels. And then and then the player answers back in French, and I bet she understood anyway what was happening. The skills that you pick up as an umpire. So Stephen's noticing that that was a good example of many of the dangerous shot conversations. When you say the other day on Twitter, it's like every day on Twitter. Let's talk about dangerous shots. But yes, that was absolutely a good example of the drag flick going up into the player's body. She was clearly within 5 meters. The guidance is, very clear. It's almost not even guidance when it's written so clearly in the rule book. It's almost just a rule in and of itself, and that just has to be called as a dangerous shot. Okay, in about 30 seconds, we're gonna have another clip, I think. And it's very quick. Okay, so we got a free hit for the Dutch on the sideline. Everybody get ready. Okay, and pause. So the game clock says 11:50-ish going, and this is really, really small. But what I want you to notice is that we had a conversation about a timing issue in the first quarter, and now what's happened is Ivana has corrected that and shown what I think is actually excellent whistle timing on this. So if I go to
Involved in the Pro League, first involvement.
Okay, so this is the same free hit off the sideline. So the Dutch attacker does have possession of the ball, but she doesn't have a good opportunity. That foul has sent her traveling backwards. She doesn't have a lot there. She's actually going towards the sideline. Lots of options are cut off. But with the quick whistle, it then gives her the chance to get the ball off quickly, a self-pass, maybe to cut out that defender. As it turns out, that defender was able to, she was very disciplined. She was running backwards, and she was able to get 5 meters before the ball was sent so that she was able to intercept. And I know it looks really close, but again, I have to remind myself all the time, and when you're umpire coaching, you're going to think of this as well, is that different angles will make things look extremely differently when it comes to distance. So with this camera angle, it's quite flat to the play, the direction that the two players are, so it looks like she's within 5 meters. But I think Ivana's got a better spot to see, and because she's on the pitch level, that negates some of the problems that we're having as well. And there's no complaints from the Dutch players once this ball is intercepted and turned over back by the Belgians. Okay, so if everybody's ready, we're going to restart the game. Okay, so I've got 11:52 on my clock. If you're close to that, that's awesome. So 11:52 on the game clock, and we're going to restart in 3, 2, 1, and go. So Teresa's asked, yes, it was a dangerous shot because the defender had closed within 5 meters and it had struck her above the knee, at her waist actually. If there's anything you've noticed about the demeanors of the umpires and how they're interacting with the players, feel free to spit it out. There's no wrong answers here, just conversations. Personalities and the ways in which umpires interact with players and interact with each other on the pitch are obviously very personal and very individual. And when someone has a certain personality trait, for example, this may surprise you, but for me, I'm a very stern person on the pitch. I tend to look very angry all the time. And it was quite a struggle for me to figure out how to come across less like that. And at some point, you have to just agree to allow yourself to be yourself, maybe minimize what turns into a weakness there, and try to build up your strengths so that you have a more versatile repertoire. But you're never going to take away that part of you if you tend to be a stern person like me on the pitch, or maybe you're a joker and you're super laid back. That's going to be your primary characteristic, but you want to be able to develop the ability to turn on other things. Sorry, Ian, I saw your question, but because I was talking at the camera, I didn't see exactly what the incident was. So if you happen to make a note of it, let me know after the broadcast and I'll have a little look at it and answer the question for you. Absolutely, Stan. It's very important to be yourself, because it's really hard to be anybody else when you are working this hard to make good decisions, be in the right spot, manage the game properly, all that kind of thing. So just coming up, I've got 8:15 on my clock. In about 10 seconds, we got something on the sideline that I just want you to watch. Okay, could have been a bit of stick obstruction there. And then, you know, a player puts up their hand for a third party, and I'm okay with both of those things being played on. And right away we have, you know, Ivana coming in. As the play was going, a little bit of an awkward time to make an intervention, but she wanted to separate the players in the circle. And again, it's about feeling the timing. When do you need to step in? When is that intervention going to interrupt or absolutely kill the flow of the game? And taking the right action there. So Mark's noticed, you know, for him that it's a very pleasant interaction with the players, and that's really good. And I think there's a time and a place for each of those sort of things. So you can be funny and sometimes and have little jokes with the players, but there's also something to be said for getting your message across quickly and concisely and clearly, instead of having a little dialogue and that sort of thing. And this is, like I said, this is a really tight game. I mean, it's already well into we're well past the halfway mark of the second quarter, and Dutch still haven't scored. Belgium's hanging in, but it's a really chippy game. There's not a lot of flow. There's a lot for the umpires to do and sort out physical stuff in the circle. And maybe this is a time where you're turning on a bit of a stern word when you need to. And there will be moments where we see that. Okay, coming up, we're going to have another pause for our third clip. Okay, so we're just under 6 minutes on the clock, and the ball is going to start in the Belgian circle on the right-hand side, and it's going to start flowing towards the left, up Mishy's side. Okay, and we have another card. So if you're ready, give your match a little pause here. Okay, I've got 5:38 left on my game clock. I hope you're pretty close to that too. And we're just gonna go have a look at this next video. Okay, so remember that Belgium is already sitting on 2 green cards. So as this ball comes up to the sideline,
on a bad strike rate. It's another Belgian player.
okay, and I have the replay coming up on the clip as well. So when you look at it,
It's rather deliberate.
it looks a bit more like just a messy play, but what that breakdown has the effect of doing is that Belgian player on the sideline was gone. She was done. She was flat-footed. There's all this space behind that player, and there is only 1 Belgian defender for 2 Dutch attackers. We got a 2v1 situation with acres of space entering the circle. It's massively dangerous. So this is one of those occasions where, yeah, the stick was a little loud, but it didn't really look that bad, did it? You're like, well, you know, maybe it could have been another green. But the effect that it had on destroying this attacking situation was massive. And especially in a game where Belgium is fighting. They're cutting down every space and trying to make sure that they've got numbers behind the ball and congesting all the dangerous areas. This is an opportunity for the Dutch to flow through a very clear area, and it's cut down. Okay, so I'm just showing
It's rather deliberate.
and Sophie's second card says stain, so I didn't notice that. Either way, I think it doesn't matter how many cards or if she hadn't taken a card early in that point, that was going to be a yellow anyway because of where it had gone. And clearly, Belgium aren't getting the message about how they shouldn't be breaking this down. I don't even think it was careless, Peter. I think it was very, very cynical. So I understand what you're saying. But knowing that I have to stop this, and I'm just going to hit her stick in order to stop so that I can get behind the ball. The player's not trying to foul, but I don't care if I foul. In fact, I'd rather foul but if I get the ball, great. So it's difficult when you use the word intentional with players because sometimes they think it has to mean that they wanted to create the foul. Nobody wants to give up a foul, but they can often take high risk opportunities to create that foul, if that makes sense. Okay, if you're all ready to go, we are going to get moving again. So I'm at about 5:38 on the clock, and we're going to get started again in 3, 2, 1, go. Absolutely, Mark, I agree. And it's really important that you get those interventions right at this kind of level because it will change the course of everything that happens after it. Okay, so Teresa's asking, if persistent, could you give her a short corner for excessive fouling? The pounded corner option will only be available to you if that foul occurs inside the 23. And And I get a little reluctant about the word excessive or persistent, or they do it again and again and again, because if they've been doing something that is clearly a breakdown again and again and again, that means that you haven't addressed the other ones that happened before that. Now in this game, every management opportunity has been taken when it's been needed to taken. So this isn't about it being persistent, it's about it happening, it gets penalized. It happens again, they didn't get the message, gets penalized. Happens for a third time, it gets penalized to the next level with the personal messages. Okay, so that's the difference. And you don't want it to get to the stage where there have been 8, 9 times where it's happened. And if it has, it means that you've lost control. And the players are taking their chances that you're not going to give them a card for that. Awesome. It's a great question, Teresa. I love it. It's exactly the way that we need to work through our thinking on these issues. Okay, coming right up here, we got a big one. Ouch. So we've got about 3:15 left. If you want to pause, all right, stop, collaborate and listen. All right, 3:15 on quarter 2, and I'm going to show this play again because I want to draw particular attention to. This is a tough call. And it's not tough, I don't think, for a technical reason, but it's tough because in your heart, it's really hard to call a player for a foul that they have created themselves and put themselves in danger and taken an injury for. So here comes the shot, and it's going to be the backside player coming in as Matla takes her shot. So we're going to see the replay from over top, and you can really see it quite clearly. Okay. So this is what I have to say. First of all, Mishi was watching the ball, and she simply was calling a 15-meter free hit for the out of bounds. So she didn't render a decision on that particular incident itself. But there is no way in hell that a defender coming from that place behind an attacker is going to be able to make a successful tackle. They are just physically not in the right spot. To call this high risk is an understatement. Okay? And there's no way that Matla is going to know at this stage that that player is coming behind her. She is going for goal. So the responsibility lies on the defender to protect themselves, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with Matla taking this backswing for the reverse tomahawk. Okay? As she does so, it actually interferes with her swing and what would have been a shot, and it could have hit that defender in front of her. I mean, who knows what could have happened if she had made proper contact with that ball, but it probably would have gone a lot closer to the goal. When a ball goes flying off weirdly in a different direction, I mean, she didn't backstick it. It just didn't connect with the ball at the right side angle that she was expecting. So she sliced it off to the left and off the end line. Something probably got in the way of a player of that level to cause that breakdown in the skill. So there was a foul there and could have been a penalty corner, but it's so hard because you're really worried about the health of that player, and it's totally understandable. Okay, so as an umpire, you want to express your empathy and your compassion for the individual, but get the right result. And what happens in the game, if you guys get back to it, you might hear a little conversation that Ivana has with another Dutch player, telling them if you would like to refer that because you felt there was a penalty corner there, you can do so, but you got to do it right now. So clearly a Dutch player is asking the question, well, wasn't that obstruction? Or something similar. Okay, so hard, harsh, but fair, and probably the right reset. And I think in this situation, the Dutch didn't really feel the need to go back to a video referral because they're dominating, and they're going to leave that in their back pocket for when they might really need it more near the end of the game. Okay, so if everybody's ready to get started again, and then I'll ask Steven's question. So about 3:15 on the game clock, and we'll start in 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, And we do have an opportunity with the injury to take a little time for this question. Okay, so I just heard the conversation that Ivana had. And Steven's asking, with a few minutes to go and the game at 0-0, would you be thinking differently about what award? I think it's the same award, regardless. And something that affects the play there at that moment. I think just simply that was a case of Mishi, if you saw her head was actually turned away and she didn't see the same thing, I think that we were able to see from a higher viewpoint. And, you know, I think it's good for the decision to be correct here, and it's good for the decision to be correct at the end of the game as well. We're still sitting at 3:15 on the clock, so everybody should be synced up. And the game has just gotten back underway. So that's the last clip I had. We're going to just keep watching and scrolling through. So this is where audience participation becomes so important. So Steven's comment is that the Dutch are saving their review, and absolutely. I think it's we see it over and over again in these matches where you think the players are going to be a little more conservative about their referral, but you be a few minutes into the first quarter and a very marginal call is made, quite 50-50, and suddenly it's just they're absolutely certain, and then they go to video referral and they miss it, and off it goes. They lose it. And it's a tough slog, but some teams are much more disciplined than others, and I like that level of professionalism. I think that's important. It's just good game management from the players. Would the player coming from the wrong side be penalized? Does it matter where the ball finishes? Okay, so in that situation there, Teresa, I think that what you're looking for, again, was the ball carrier disadvantaged by that player. Now, if Matla had been able to make full contact with that ball and get the shot off, you wouldn't have called a foul because she wasn't disadvantaged. You would have stopped time immediately because she was injured in her head, and for safety purposes, you do not play on, especially also in the circle, there's a lot of congestion and potential for more danger to occur if that wasn't enough. So you're going to stop the play anyway immediately. It might end up with a bully just out, 5 meters outside the circle, which is everybody's, well, my least favorite way to resume play in the world. But yeah, you have to react to the situation. It's not necessarily where the ball goes, but what I'm saying is where the ball went in that situation, that was a really good indicator of how the shot and the stick swing had been interfered with. Really tough to see from the front angle though, because the swing would have gone behind her and it would have been there. So would have been tough to see. Yeah, Teresa. So absolutely, you would stop time if you were able to stop time right as the ball is going off the end line, and you were going to reset with a 15-meter free hit. Then awesome, that's what you stick to. If the ball stays in play, then that's when you're going to have to stop time immediately, and you're going to have to call a bully. If the ball was in the circle at that time, then you are, you're just going to have to take that bully, and it has to be 5 meters outside the circle, in line with where the incident occurred or where you called the bully from. So just not fun. So I'm at the end of quarter two. I hope you're also there at the end of quarter two. So we are going to scroll ahead because nobody wants to sit here for 10 minutes. I'm not sure if the broadcasts here are edited to close down the halftimes. I don't believe they are. So everybody grab your little circles and scroll ahead 10 minutes. I'll give you a minute or two to get that done. Oh, I'm spooling. So on the left-hand side, the actual video ticker is at, for me, it's starting to count down to 50, 50, 41. We got a little interview with Allison. So Sharon's asking exactly where the placement of that ball for the bully would be taken, and it depends on where the ball ended up, and it's really imprecise. You're not going to be taking the circle, but it's going to be as kind of close to in line with where the ball was when you had to stop play. $15.5 to water the pitch. Could well have been Simon. I wasn't sure if it was that hot, but there you go. So on the left-hand side, I'm now down at 50 minutes and, oh, that's what you mean. They're still watering the pitch. Okay. Yeah, I can catch up. So I guess we need another 5 minutes then? Yes, we can. Thanks for that hot tip. So I'm sure you're taking a couple seconds to get to the beginning of the quarter three. Okay. I think we're there now. I've got 46:47 on the video ticker. Okay. 46:14. Thank you, Ian. Very helpful. Okay, so I'll give you all a couple seconds to get there. Yep. There we go. Thanks, guys. It's good to know you guys are on top of it. Okay, so if we're all ready, I hope, fingers crossed, we'll get started. Cursors at the ready. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Start quarter three. This will be one of those recordings that I do not want to watch back because it's going to be quite awful to see all this dead space. What's the first rule of video? Of TV? No dead air. Okay. So what you'd expect is we're going to start quarter three, and it's going to be very much like the whole first half went, which was the field was slanted this way towards Mishi. Not quite as we go. So nice little aerial there, and you could hear Mishi on the radio saying, okay, okay, lever. And that invitation to the player to adhere to the 5 meter distance helps keep things flowing and helps the players understand that you know that the attacker was entitled to the 5 meter protection zone. And just picking up again what Robert noticed in the first quarter there, you're going to hear a lot more talk between the umpires on the radio. So twig your ears to that, and I'll try to shut up so you can hear them. Spending that time talking and directively and helpfully talking to your colleague is a great way to keep your mind into the game, because you are reading and making decisions, but you're making decisions verbally instead of by blowing your whistle. The danger of that is that you can end up being a distraction for your colleague. So there's a balance that you need to strike. You don't want to narrate everything that's happening, but helping on the tough ones and understanding when you need to help and when you don't need help is something that you just have to learn with experience and watching lots of video with me. So I alluded to it at the beginning of the game when I asked you to maybe check out if there was anything about the positioning of the umpires that you noticed. Mishi is, for me, a very traditionally positioned umpire. She still really likes to be on the outside of the play. She likes her 45-degree angle, and she still likes to swoop around and cut in. She does not like to turn and face the play, and she doesn't like to open up her left shoulder when the play is off, you know, on the right sideline, in order to be able to, for me, open up and receive the play coming towards her, and do that backpedaling. And that is something that if you noticed in an umpire that you were working with as an umpire coach, you would need to make a decision. And really, it's got to be a conversation that you have with the umpire to find out what their level of awareness is, and then see, does it make a difference to the performance? Does it affect their colleague? Does it affect the level of trust and respect with the players? If not, maybe the two of you make a decision that you're just going to keep doing things the way that you're doing it. When you present the alternatives and you give the choice to the umpire as to what course of action they want to take with their development, then they're going to take that on and be more empowered and a lot more effective about making the change than if you say, you're doing it wrong, you've got to change it, and it's got to go like this. That would make anybody feel defensive. So develop the alternative and the choice and the buy-in. And maybe what you're seeing isn't actually necessary as a fix to make. Okay. In about 20 seconds, for me, about 10:20, we're gonna 10:25. So the Dutch are currently breaking in. This is about 10 seconds before. Okay, little foot outside the 23. Okay, so first of all, whistle tone. Okay, Ivana made a very long whistle. You knew right away, and it was almost like her whistle tone made her realize, oh yeah, I don't want one of those, I want one of those. So if you're watching at the replays, please do. And it's that little reach in from behind. Again, very subtle, but she's not in a position to touch the ball. She's not going to be making a successful tackle from there. She's just trying to get in the way. And she's getting in the way of a shooter who's in the middle of the circle, near the P spot, and has a great opportunity. So the penalty circle is awarded, and it's a stunning save. And you can hear the defenders, I think it was the defender thinking, or maybe it wasn't, maybe it was Mishi saying, thank you for letting me get back in position before you restarted the play. So I'm coming up to 10 minutes left on quarter three. Another thing you may have noticed on the penalty stroke is that Ivana went through the routine of asking the goalkeeper, are you ready? Player, are you ready? And then blew her whistle. Remember that time at band camp where I said, don't tell the umpires what to do and let them make a choice? Not in this case. That's not good practice. And what we learned at the international level is that, first of all, if you invite the players and you ask them if they're ready, you're giving them the opportunity to say, no, actually I'm not. I got to do something. I got to, go get a cup of tea. Right? No. You are going to blow your whistle when you perceive the players to be ready. And that's what you say to them. Guys, on my whistle. Very simple. That encourages the players to get in position right away. They're not messing around. They're like, oh, you're not going to blow the whistle when they're not ready. It's not like you're trying to catch them out because you're not a jerk. Not really. So, but what it is, it just gives that impetus. The players understand that you're in control and you're going to manage this situation. It's not up to them to give the response. Also, at the international level, there's a lot of potential to be misunderstood. The players may not speak your language. They may not have a great comprehension of English, so they may not understand what's happening. It's a high-pressure situation. Keep it simple. Players don't understand. You just point at your whistle. You make eye contact. Okay? Yes? And every player understands what that means. I go on the whistle. So think about that and whether that's a useful adjustment that you might want to make in your games. Ian comments that in his opinion, umpires at the global levels don't give enough strokes. That could be true. It's a big decision, and it's a difficult decision. I have seen at lower levels sometimes umpires giving them a little bit too easily. But I think generally, because it's a big decision, it's intimidating to make. And you really do need to go with your gut. If that same tackle would have led you to award a penalty corner outside the circle, it's got to be a stroke inside. And that will also help you strike the right balance between not donating corners that shouldn't be corners that for fouls that happen outside the circle. Because we tend to be way too easy on the strokes inside the circle and way too willing to give the upgrades outside the circle. So get them even. Same standard. There's a little shield there, player driving down the left-hand side of the circle, and she slowed down enough and continued her motion in that same direction while protecting the ball. Shield, excellent call. And you could hear, again, the whistle tone. There was something special about that when Ivana called the free hit, because the players would often expect that to be missed, and the free hit, or actually the penalty corner in that case, would have gone against the defender. Instead, it was a free hit out, and she made a bit of a louder sound, and it was a little bit longer to indicate this is different, and it's going to be a free hit out. Yeah, that's a great comment, Stephen. They do. I'm not sure if they're really shocked or they just want you to feel like they're shocked so that you doubt your own decision. So I don't know if you heard in that situation, there's a really good example of Mishi where it's 6 minutes on the dot, quarter-3, this penalty corner, and there were a few instances where it could have been a foul. Mishi said nothing. Could have been a foul. Mishi said nothing. And then when the foot occurred, she said foot. And Ivana very clearly knew that the penalty corner needed to be awarded. And that all happened sort of on the left-hand side. And that's really great communication over the radios. And Ian pointing out that it's about confidence. Absolutely. So we're at about 5:30, and I think the clock is going to stop pretty soon here now, but the ball was in play here, and Mishi blew her whistle from the opposite side of the field as the ball was in play in front of Ivana, and she was doing this with her arms. And Ivana's going to explain that it wasn't a penalty corner, and I think everybody on the pitch thought it was. And again, it's about, you know, I can see what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to make sure that the players aren't interfering with each other off the ball. But you have to, there's a fine line between watching the off-ball play and watching it so intently that you miss that the ball is actually in play elsewhere, and that what you want to straighten out, it's not the right time to do that. So what needed to happen there was either that it came over the radio that there was a situation that needed to be dealt with, and give the information to the controlling umpire, maybe give the numbers of the two players, or you wait for the next natural stoppage. You blow your whistle quickly, double whistle, hey, you two, cut that out. Okay, so timing was a little off in that situation as well. And I think that's right. Generally, the effect, Robert, that you're pointing out of the umpires communicating a lot to the players is that it's helping calming the game down and keep it wrapped. And I do agree with that. I'd like to see the communication maybe being a little crisper so that it's a little less interruptive in the game. I'm just making up English as I go. Because one of the things that Belgium is doing very well in this game is slowing it down and getting in the way of the flow. Not giving the Dutch room to get fast, get the ball moving quickly on the field. So as an umpire, you need to understand that that is a risk that is happening, and you don't want to add to that because it's taking away from the overall quality of the game. So everything you're doing is like, okay, how can I get this game moving in a way that produces the best hockey that these teams are possible of playing, that they're able to play, that it's possible for these teams to play. 9:15, is it too early for wine? Okay, coming up to 3 minutes left. I've got about 3:15 on my clock. I hope you're close. Yep, Jasper, communicating between the two of you helps keep you sharp. Absolutely. Especially when it's communication about what's coming next or what's just happened, rather than reflective. Like, oh, that was a good call, good call, good call. Oh yeah, this is why I did that. And you have that little conversation with your colleague. It can be nice, but don't let that distract you, and don't let it take your brain back into the past, because you need to be staying ahead of it and ahead of it and ahead of it. And that's what you can help your colleague do. And by speaking in that manner, you're going to help your colleagues stay in the future and yourself as well. Stay in the future. Never too early for a glass of wine. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. Maybe after I have a nap. Okay, coming to 2 minutes left. Got a big call coming. Okay. So there's that penalty corner upgrade. Green, green, yellow. We're in the third quarter. We've had a penalty stroke inside. There's just no question that that this is gonna step up to be upgraded to a penalty corner here. And when you consider what was taken away with that foul, would you have wanted to give another yellow card on top of that, which you would have had to probably step up to 10 minutes? Not worth that. Just go with the team penalty there. Penalty corner is just fine. Jasper, we are coming to the end of the third quarter. Okay, we're at 1:50. And it was a goal. Absolutely. Mishi was really high up in support, and that was really well done. And that is the experience that Mishi has, to know that things are really starting to crunch down, and it resulted in the upgrade, resulted in the corner, resulted in the goal. When you've done as much high-level hockey as Mishi has, you know, you develop that sense of, this is what's overall going to happen in the game, and I need to be closer. And there could be a fluke breakdown, but really Every Belgian player is behind the ball. They were all within the 23 for about 5 minutes. Not a problem there at all. Okay, coming to about a minute left in quarter 3. Just the one goal, but as an umpire, you're going to think to yourself, how is this going to change the approach of the teams? What are we going to start seeing? Are we going to see Belgium start to take more chances? Are they going to leave somebody high? Are they going to panic because they were working for maybe the draw, or at least keeping themselves in for their one attacking opportunity? So what's going to change with the tactic of the teams? And we know the Dutch, when they score a goal, they got the bit in their mouth and they are going to hammer. So they start coming even harder right after they score a goal, because they like to do it in bunches. They know what momentum is and they use it to incredible effect. Okay, the kids are counting down the last 10 seconds for me. And that is the end of quarter 3. All right, I'm going to try to scroll. Let's see how this goes. I've scrolled a bit. I'm happy. I like the music though too. Okay, we've just started quarter 4. I hope you're all on the same page. Another really good little verbal communication with the players. Let her take it. Let her take it. I think players really respond to that, and they really like knowing what you're thinking. When will the clip library be launched? Martin, holding me to task. I love it. So I'm going to announce the first round of beta testers next week. I'm actually in the process of migrating my website to a new web host who is going to be super pretty and help me out with a lot more things than my previous web host did. So I have to make sure over the weekend that that's all working properly. Then I will be opening it up to the beta testers next week. So thanks for asking. I don't know if you applied or not. I didn't see your name. I don't remember seeing your name in the apps, but so yes, we're saying that when that goal is scored and that now we've got a new game in front of us, it's a good time to check in with your colleague and reinforce what your game plan is going to be and how you're going to respond. So absolutely, that's a great time to touch base on that kind of thing. It's a little tougher for the umpires who know that their audio streams are being broadcast on TV, because they are encouraged not to talk too much, to only be giving information that's going to be helpful for the broadcast, which means the fans and the commentator, not necessarily always about the players or about each other. And it's almost like they have to figure out perhaps how to communicate that without overtly communicating that, if that makes sense. Ah, Patrick. Okay. Good to know that you're operating under a pseudonym. Hey, Mike D. Good to see you, buddy. Just past 12 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. You feel like you're off? Zed, I'm at coming to 12 minutes left. I hope that helps. So remember, ask me anything that you've noticed, anything you're curious about. Hi, Adam. So you're asking about when the beta testing will happen. I am going to announce that early next week. If everything works well with my website migration this weekend, then I'll be getting to people on Monday, but I'm going to give myself a little room in case I have problems to sort out on that end, because it's email as well as the website. There's a lot of pieces that all work together there. So thanks for asking. I'm really excited. I cannot believe how many people have applied. I was hoping there would be like 10 people, and it's like 8 times that. I am absolutely freaked out. So thank you. So I don't know if you guys feel it as well, but there's a little bit of a, like, things have dipped now. We've got that one goal, and it's, as much as Belgium are really fighting in this game, it's got to be difficult. They just busted out every effort for 3 quarters and just weren't able to keep the ball out of the net on a penalty corner. Surprise, surprise. So now things really have changed, and it'll be about, okay, what is the adjustment that you might need to make? Understanding that, again, the Dutch are still going to come at, but, you know, how is Belgium going to respond? And are they going to come back with more energy and taking risks? Or you got to process whether they're not actually trying that at all. They had some good success at the beginning of the 3rd quarter with aerials, which would mean that you need to, you know, accommodate with your positioning and be ready for those balls going overhead. But they've gotten away from that now again, because that's not their safe play. Time check on the game, please. Robert, I am at 9:15 and now 9:10 to go, quarter 4. This can be a good time to analyze the umpire's positioning. And Ivana's, in my broadcast, is just called a card. And she had a really nice, just subtle movement around the circle, and she backpedaled straight up and back towards the end line. And this is one of the effects of opening up your shoulders to the play, is that makes it easier for you to cue yourself to backpedal, rather than, if your shoulders are turned, you will tend to step over, or at the worst thing, doing the side skip hop, which, as you can see, is a really great way to make sure that your head is moving when you need to be seeing important things. Yeah, that slowing down the game and trying to slow down the ball. Time for it and not a good time for it as well. Sorry, Byron, I missed that instance that you talked about, but again, it has to do with whether the players were disadvantaged or not. And I think what you find is if the players are cut out when they shouldn't be, that's when you hear them really screaming at this level, because they do understand that umpires are better at timing when they want to intervene and readjust the ball placement, and when they're just going to let it go. Like with the Ask FHE video that I posted yesterday, that most people really agreed with, but some people did say, well, it's incorrect. So put it where it's correct. What's correct really doesn't matter. It's about what's fair. Yeah. And again, really subtle. I'm at 6:34 on the game clock, and before the ball's even put in play, Mishy's talking to the player and telling her where she wants it. So there's no surprises there, and it gives the player an opportunity to recalibrate where they're reading the ball's they're gonna want to send it. So even though they don't even have it yet, they're able to realize, okay, she wants me to take the ball over there. Where are my options going to be once I get the ball there? So players really appreciate that kind of communication because it helps them play better. Was it about 9 minutes? Okay, Byron, I'll try to go have a look at that again. Oh, I just wrecked my broadcast. I have to figure out where I am now. I think we were at 5. I'm going to have to reset myself. I'm at 5:45. I tried to turn my volume down and I moved the cursor. Darn it. Okay, so I'm at 5:30. So if you guys are ahead of me, great, because you're going to notice something and then I'm going to talk about it later. It's okay, Stain. You guys keep going. Plow ahead. I'm at 5 minutes now, so hopefully it's not too far. You're at 5:36. Oh, we're all at great places. Now, like Jasper was commenting about after the goal, it's a good time to check in. With 5 minutes left, that's another good time to check in because it's often a juncture in the game where the coaches might switch tactics. Be like, okay, 5 minutes, let's tighten it up. Let's be aware. Let's, be aware of a fast break, whatever you might have to adjust to. It's a good time to kick it up a notch there. I'm at 4:20 now. I don't know how delayed your comments are when they're coming through. I don't know if it's taking 15 seconds for me to see what you guys are saying after you've typed it. I am now at 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. And again, I was hoping to see something different from Belgium after the goal was scored. Because what's the point of continuing to do what hasn't been working up until that point. And they're not trying to press. They're not trying to, they're not going for the steal. They're just staying behind the ball and limiting the damage. But what's the point? Keep going. 350. Maybe I'm ahead of you guys. As a general rule, I don't know. I'm exactly 3 minutes left. Quarter 4. A little communication between the two umpires again. And miss you with the big threat. Number 33, if I see that again, you're off. We talked at the last game about threatening cards, and this is what I'm going to do if I see it again. There are some times where that's not a terrible idea, but use it with discretion. Oh, nice opportunity. So I'm at 130 and Belgium's actually starting to build some momentum now and get some chances. It would have been nice to see this about 3.5 minutes ago. And that's probably what their coach is thinking too. Okay, on this rush coming up with a minute left in the game, we're going to have another big call. Okay, there's lots of replays of this, so I didn't clip it specifically. You're going to be able to see it yourself. So the chasing defender loses her stick because she tries to wrap it around the attacker's legs, and it ends up falling out of her hands, knocking the Dutch player off stride. And then Ivana just makes sure that there's no chance for the attacker to catch up with the ball and develop something better. And when she realizes, no, it's just going off the end line, that's when she awards that penalty corner upgrade. Okay, Ian, thanks for that suggestion that I should just tell everybody to pause. You're absolutely right. And we have the second goal. So look at it this way. We've had 2 penalty corner goals, both that were off upgrades. Absolutely correct and well called. But that's why those calls are important. And especially at this level, with the level of execution of corners, of strokes, get the big decisions right. Good question, Robert. He wants to know why there wasn't a card there. I don't think you need to send the message. I don't think she... how am I going to phrase this properly? Yeah, I just don't feel like it was that sort of, at this moment of the game, that the extra penalty was necessary. It would have felt like piling on a bit, to be honest. And if I can find a better way to explain it, I would. Yeah, Mike's asking for the card as well. No personal penalty. Yeah. Man, you guys all think that should have been a card. I actually would have been a little surprised if I'd seen it trotted out, I guess. And part of this is that we still really struggle as an umpiring community to figure out how to combine those two. We talked in episode 2 about how now the guidance has been made very clear by the FH umpiring committee that they want to see any intentional fouls inside the 23 that are given a personal penalty must be accompanied by the team penalty. It must have the penalty corner upgrade. Not my preferred approach. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's supported by the rules, but hey, we do what we're told. So, knowing when you have to add that extra message and that player needs to be set off, it really is, it's just feel. It's just feel. With 1 minute left in the game, where very little threat had been made, I'm just not sure it was necessary. Too late in the game for a card. Yeah, that's definitely a way of thinking about it. Okay, so I've got to the end of the broadcast, and I think you guys have too. If you have any other questions right now that I can take care of things that you've just seen, then, you know, let's get them out there. And if not, I'm looking for your feedback on this, because this was a bit of a tough one and I did screw up with 5 minutes left in the game. Sorry about that. And Mark's agreeing that at the end of the game, it wouldn't have made a massive difference. Yeah, I think the team penalty was so big in that moment that it was enough. Any other questions, comments, insights? So yes, like I said, please send me a DM. Let me know what you thought of this. I'm considering trying to do this as a Zoom broadcast, which would give us more flexibility. It wouldn't be posted or broadcast on social media, so might be able to go back to the old format. But what we lose, and what I really don't want to lose, is your discussion and your inputs. So when this goes back when this is on Facebook Live, the recording retains all of your comments. And that's what I want to see, because you guys are giving some really good insights, and I want that to be there. When we do a Zoom, I'm not sure if we can preserve all of the input that you guys can be giving me, but at the same time, maybe we can have more direct engagement. So I will consider it and maybe give it a shot for the Monday for me, Tuesday for the Aussies, different time zone, umpire at home extravaganza. So great, guys. Thank you for all the feedback. Stay in the future, hashtag. Thanks to Elsevier. I make up my own hashtags all the time. Stay in the future. And there we go. Okay, getting some comments now. Yeah, a bit tricky to follow, Simon. Thank you. I agree. Using the game clock worked. Okay, good to know. And Jasper, you have a question about, are cards more of a warning system than a punishment afterwards? I think that is really that is the general spirit of it. And it's a very personal message, right? We call it a personal penalty and a team penalty for a reason. And the purpose of the team penalty is to address what was taken away by the action. Okay? And think of it as resetting the scales of justice. So in that situation, a scoring opportunity that was taken away by the defender losing their stick and tripping up the attacker, that scoring opportunity was about on par with what a penalty corner provides. So if that gets taken away by a foul, your team penalty puts it back on the table and says, nope, you've taken that away. I'm giving it back to that team because that was an illegal action and it was unfair. Boom, you're set. The card is a message to that player and to all the players that you don't want to see that happening again. Okay, and there's no, remember back in the day where a green card was just a slap on the wrist? Excuse me. It's, we realized that in order to send an effective message, there needs to be a punitive element to it. So it's a bit of an overlap and it's a bit convoluted to talk about in that sense, but that really is what you're looking at doing, because sending a player off with a card doesn't change what effect that action had in the game. You need to do that with the team penalty and the team award. And that's why I liked the old approach of being able to give a card inside the 23 and not necessarily give the penalty corner. But that's something for another day, and I don't want to confuse things. Okay, yeah, I agree. LCB, I found it tricky as well, and I felt it was a little tougher to feel confident that everybody was on the same page and to be able to give you the right information at the right times. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so I will try the Zoom on the next broadcast, maybe the next two. I'll see how that works. I have bought a Zoom subscription because these days, why not do everything on Zoom? I get to have wine parties with my friends, so it's fun. So I will make sure that we have invites. I'm obviously going to have to cap it at some point, but I think right now we're working with about 30 people on the broadcast, which is amazing, and shouldn't be a problem for Zooming. So, okay. Thanks, guys. You like my explanations. Thank you. Oh, a clear explanation. It didn't feel clear coming out of my mouth, Jasper, but thank you. I appreciate it. The philosophy, the reasons why we do things, I've always felt is something that umpire coaches, umpire managers need to be so much better at delivering to umpires. We need to be able to explain the rationale, because otherwise we're just, it's that old adage, we're just giving you a fish. If we teach you how to fish, the reason why we do one thing or another, and we focus on the spirit of the game and the spirit of a certain rule, it's going to give you that framework for you to go out there as an umpire, or you as an umpire coach, to be able to coach more effectively and make better decisions, because every decision we make is so unique. It's different angles and speeds and places on the field, and sticks are in this place and that place, and everything's it's wildly variable. This isn't tennis. It's chaos. Hockey is chaos, and that's why we love it so much. So that's why our rules can't be entirely descriptive. They can't list, in this situation you call it this way, in this situation you call it another way. Can't possibly do that. Our rule book would be 400 pages long, and nobody wants to do that. Nobody even reads the rule book when it's 15 rules long. So we need to have a framework. We need to have a solid understanding of why we do things. What do the players want? What's fair? What's in the spirit of the game? What's dangerous? What's advantage? And that way we can come to the best decision at the moment for the crazy chaos situation that you've got in front of you. I hope that makes sense. Saying you preferred everything on one screen, so did I. Okay. So Mark, absolutely. You need to have a paid subscription with Zoom in order to have longer than 40-minute long session. Don't you worry. I'm willing to spend that $20 on you guys. Yeah, I'm a giver. That's who I am. All right. Any other questions, comments? Everybody saying hi to each other, seeing your friends. Okay, I think we are ready to wrap this one up. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there for me on this one. It was a challenge, and I appreciate your patience and all of your feedback on this. So we'll give it a try. So Rob, you're asking if this kind of philosophy should be introduced to the initial course for new umpires. It's in mine, and I talk about it all the time. Just ask Dennis Zaccanini here if he's still around, that it is something that I focus on. But this is something that I felt as I was coming through the ranks, and even when I was at the top levels, I wanted more of this. I wanted more of the why. For example, if you get the feedback as an umpire coach, from an umpire coach that you need to be better at calling obstructions. For example, you'd say, well, how do I do that? You're getting that wrong. Okay, well, how do I fix it? So we as coaches need to be really focused on philosophy and tactics. How do you get a result? You don't scream at a team saying, you got to get the ball in the net, without giving them the tools of how do they get there and how do they get the ball in the net and why they're doing different things in order to create the spaces that they need and get the ball to the right people so that they can score. And that's where the why comes in of the tactics that they're employing. We have to approach the game in exactly the same way. I'm putting this up because thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm glad that so many of you got something out of this. You can always DM me. You can send me emails, keely@fhumpires.com. But I'm on the Facebooks, I'm on the Instagrams, I'm on the Twitters, I am on WhatsApp. I am always online, especially even more now, which I didn't even think was possible. So next one, let's try a Zoom and see how it goes. That will be posted very shortly, and I will continue migrating the website, and potential beta testers, I'll be back to you very early next week if my world hasn't exploded and dogs and cats are living together in chaos. All right, thanks again for your time and your energies, guys, and I look forward to the next one. Bye.